Welcome to another deep dive. We're tackling something pretty crucial this time around, something absolutely essential in today's world, learning English.
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Business, tech, science, entertainment, of course.
Exactly. And it connects, over 1.5 billion speakers worldwide. It's mind-boggling when you think about the sheer scale.
Absolutely. So if you're looking to, say, boost your career or stay informed about global events or even just experience more diverse cultures, having a good grasp of English can really open doors.
No doubt about it. So that's exactly what we're digging into today. Strategies for learning English and learning it quickly and well. We've got this guide here. It outlines 13 different approaches.
13. Wow, okay. Sounds comprehensive.
It is. And we're going to break down each one, look at what's practical, what might surprise you, all that good stuff. This advice covers everything from changing your environment to using tech, even thinking about formal courses.
So where do we start?
Well, let's jump right in with the first one, creating an immersive environment.
Yes. This is huge. You constantly hear about immersion being key to faster language learning.
It's all about surrounding yourself with the language as much as you can in your daily life. And the idea is that this forces your brain to adapt more quickly.
So it's like you're constantly being bombarded with the language, so your brain has no choice but to start picking it up.
Exactly. The guide actually gives some really practical examples. One of them is regularly talking with native English speakers.
Right. Now that can seem daunting for some, especially beginners.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine it feeling a bit intimidating at first.
But it doesn't have to be some formal interview or anything like that. There are so many online platforms for language exchange,
Oh, right. Those are great. They connect you with native speakers just for casual conversation practice.
Exactly. And even if you're not into the online thing, I mean, if you live in a diverse area, think about cultural events or social gatherings.
Where English is the common language.
Right. You're practicing without even realizing it. And the key is when you're always hearing and seeing the language in context, your brain starts making those subconscious connections.
Like how you learned your first language.
Just spot on. Less pressure, more natural interaction.
The guide also talks about, of course, English Paths courses, which provide that structured environment.
Right, where English is the main language of communication. Makes sense.
And then there's the obvious one, English-speaking media. I mean, most of us already consume movies, TV series, music.
Yeah, and the guide stresses the importance of changing it up, like starting with subtitles in your native language.
Oh, that's a good tip. Helps you grasp vocabulary and cultural stuff.
Exactly. And then, as you get better, switch to English subtitles and eventually ditch them altogether.
Really train your ear.
That's the goal.
There are also these self-practice techniques. I mean, how many of us talk to ourselves in English?
Oh, I do that all the time. Or practice in front of a mirror, or even record yourself. I think the guide actually recommends recording yourself speaking.
I've tried that before. It feels a bit weird, but it's so helpful for figuring out your pronunciation.
Totally. You hear how you actually sound, which can be quite different from how you think you sound.
Right, and you can pinpoint areas to work on. And the guide emphasizes, keeping it fun.
Because learning is always more effective when you're enjoying it. That's so important.
100%. The more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to stick with it. And speaking of fun, English Path actually talks about their physical campuses.
Right, offering a more formal, intensive, immersive experience.
Exactly. A dedicated space where pretty much everything's in English. Okay, let's move on to the second strategy. Active listening as a skill.
Okay, and this is more than just passively hearing words, right? It's about really focusing.
Precisely. You're fully concentrating on what's being said, understanding the meaning, responding, and remembering it all.
Yeah, so it's not just about the words themselves, it's about intent, sometimes even the emotions behind them.
Exactly. And the guide, again, has some actionable tips, like we mentioned watching English media with subtitles, but it also suggests actively listening to podcasts.
Podcasts, news broadcasts, radio programs, it's all good.
And you get exposure to so many different accents that way.
Which is huge. I mean, think about it. Being able to understand different accents really helps you adapt.
To all the different ways English is spoken around the world.
Right. And the guide also stresses conversations with native speakers, not just hearing them, but actively participating. asking questions.
Being present and engaged.
Yeah, and there's this great tip about practicing listening in different environments, like noisy places or on the phone.
Makes sense. It's more realistic, right?
Totally. You don't just learn English in a vacuum. You got to be prepared for the real world. So it's that active part that's key. It's about intentionally engaging with the language.
Okay, now for a personal favorite, the power of reading. This one really resonates with me.
A fellow bookworm.
Absolutely. And the guide frames reading as both a pleasurable activity and a powerful learning tool.
Which it totally is. You're exposed to vocabulary, grammar, different writing styles.
All in a natural context. And hopefully you're enjoying a good book while you're at it.
Right. And the guide has some really practical strategies here. First and foremost, choose books you're actually interested in.
Thrillers, romances, nonfiction, whatever grabs you. Makes it less of a chore.
Definitely. And starting with shorter texts can be less overwhelming, especially in the beginning.
Like articles, short stories, even children's books. Build that momentum and confidence.
Good point. The guide also highlights using context clues to figure out unfamiliar words.
So important. You learn to be more independent that way, less reliance on the dictionary.
Yeah, and then there's joining a book club.
Or finding a reading buddy. Adds a social element.
You can discuss, share interpretations, all that, and then there's keeping a reading journal.
I love that idea. Track your progress, note new words, grammar points.
Makes the learning more intentional. And finally, there's reading aloud.
Yes. Great for pronunciation and intonation. You really get a feel for the rhythm of English.
It's like music almost.
Okay, moving on to writing. Now, I think a lot of learners find writing more daunting than speaking.
I can see that. You're putting your thoughts down on paper. It feels more permanent.
Yeah, but as the guide points out, writing is so important for practicing vocabulary and grammar.
And for organizing your thoughts clearly. It's a skill we need for so many things.
From emails to social media to more formal communication, and the tips here are actually really encouraging.
Like, start small. Simple sentences, a few minutes a day, whatever works.
Make it a habit and get feedback.
Feedback is key. A teacher, a language partner, someone who knows English well.
They can point out areas to improve, and if you're stuck for ideas, the guide suggests using writing prompts.
Oh, that's a good one. Sometimes you just need a little nudge to get started.
And then there's a reminder to be patient. Progress takes time.
It does. And enjoy the process. Writing can be a creative outlet, even in a new language.
All right, on to daily speaking practice. The guide is pretty clear that this is key for becoming a confident speaker.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like any skill, the more you practice, the better you get.
Muscle memory. So we have the familiar ones, talking with fluent speakers, listening and repeating.
Yeah, those are classics. But the guide also brings up recording yourself again.
Oh, right. Not just for pronunciation, but for assessing fluency overall.
How fast are you speaking? How clear are you? Are you actually using the vocabulary you've learned?
And then there's the reminder to make an effort every day, even if it's just for a little bit.
Consistency over intensity. That's what they say.
And of course, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Absolutely. Mistakes are part of the learning process. Everyone makes them.
The guide also mentions some more, I guess, unusual methods. Storytelling, poetry.
Even stand-up comedy workshops. Now that sounds like a challenge.
It would be terrifying, but I bet it would be super effective.
Definitely outside the comfort zone. But think about it. Storytelling helps you develop a natural flow. Poetry forces you to be precise with your words.
And stand-up comedy, well, that's just trial by fire, isn't it?
Pretty much. Okay, next up. Building a strong vocabulary.
The guide really highlights how a rich vocabulary improves your ability to express yourself.
It's like having more colors to paint with. The more words you know, the more nuanced and precise you can be.
And it helps you understand more when you're reading or listening.
Definitely. So what are some tips?
Well, there are the tried and true ones.
Great.
Read widely, note down unfamiliar words, play word games.
Oh, and vocabulary journals and flashcards. All classic.
And they work. The key is using those new words actively.
Not just seeing them, but understanding them, using them in your own speaking and writing.
Oh, and there's this simple one. Label everyday objects around you.
I love that. It's like constant reinforcement.
Yeah.
Visual and verbal connection.
Okay, now for the part that many learners dread, understanding English grammar.
Yes. Grammar, the rules.
But as the guide says, it's the structural framework of the language.
Yeah. And while it can be confusing sometimes, understanding it is key for constructing clear sentences.
Sentences that are grammatically correct and easy to understand.
Makes communication so much smoother. So where do we begin?
The guide suggests starting with the basics, verb tenses, pronouns, sentence structure.
The building blocks,
Exactly. And then there are online resources.
including English Path's online courses, which I'm guessing offer structured grammar lessons.
They do. And then there are, those fun methods like tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters, I love those. Helps with pronunciation and getting a feel for the sounds.
And there's so much educational content on platforms like YouTube and other websites.
A wealth of resources out there. And let's not forget grammar checkers.
So helpful for catching those common errors in your writing. But as the guide emphasizes, grammar isn't just about memorizing rules.
It's about understanding how the language works.
So you can communicate clearly and effectively.
It's a tool, not an obstacle.
Next up, perfecting pronunciation.
Yes. Clear and accurate pronunciation is so crucial.
Because even if your grammar and vocabulary are good, mispronunciation can lead to misunderstandings.
Or even some unintentional humor. Clear pronunciation ensures your message is understood.
So some practical tips. The guide mentions shadowing native speakers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Identify and practice difficult sounds. Use pronunciation apps and websites.
And if you can, practice with native speakers. Get that real-time feedback.
That's invaluable. They can pick up on those subtle errors you might not even notice.
And then there's the fun one, singing English songs.
Oh, yeah. Great for rhythm, intonation, and getting a natural flow.
And the guide stresses paying attention to stress and intonation. It's not just about individual sounds.
It's the overall melody and emphasis of the sentence.
Exactly. I think English Path's Young Learners courses even focus on these pronunciation basics early on.
Okay, now for a really interesting strategy. Thinking in English.
This is a game changer, isn't it? When you stop translating everything in your head.
It's about making English the default language for your thoughts.
Yeah, and it speeds up your processing so much. Your responses become more natural, more spontaneous.
So how do we start doing this?
Well, the guide has some practical tips. One is simply changing the language settings on your devices to English.
Constant low-level immersion.
And try describing your daily activities in English, even just mentally.
Like creating your grocery list in English or narrating what you're doing.
It sounds silly, but it really helps rewire your brain.
And practice with a partner. Talk to yourself in English.
Again, it might feel weird at first, but it's so beneficial.
And don't be afraid of mistakes.
It's okay to mess up. It's all part of the process.
Okay, let's talk tech. Technology is an incredible tool for language learning.
Oh, absolutely. It's revolutionized the way we learn. There are so many resources out there.
The guide mentions language learning apps, of course, English Path's online courses, and then all the video content on platforms like YouTube, Amazon Prime, Netflix.
It's amazing how much is available. And it's not just structured lessons. It's authentic content showing how English is actually used.
And then there are online communities.
Connect with other learners, native speakers, practice together. It's a great way to stay motivated.
And who would have thought about using voice assistants like Siri and Alexa?
Right. Practice your pronunciation, basic conversation skills. It's so accessible.
And the guide also talks about the power of games.
Games and interactive websites, they make learning fun.
It's all about gamification, makes it feel less like studying.
Okay, this next strategy is really interesting. Practicing storytelling with AI.
AI, that's pretty cutting edge.
It is. It's about using artificial intelligence to help you develop your narrative skills in English.
So how does that work?
Well, there are these AI platforms specifically designed for storytelling. They give you prompts, feedback on your writing.
Some of them can even help you structure your stories.
Like a digital writing tutor. And these AI models are trained on massive amounts of data.
So they can provide really sophisticated feedback. The guide mentions platforms like GPT-3, Hugging Face, OpenAI.
Some big names there. And the idea is to start with short stories, then gradually increase complexity.
And the instant feedback is super helpful. You know right away what to work on.
Exactly. And the guide also suggests sharing your stories for feedback.
Social media, language partners. It's a way to get more perspectives.
And remember, it's about having fun. Don't get too caught up in perfection.
It's about experimenting and being creative.
Let the AI be your guide, not your critic.
Okay, let's talk about translation. Now, many learners rely heavily on translation, especially in the beginning.
It's natural. but the guide suggests a more nuanced approach.
Because over-reliance on direct translation can hinder fluency.
You get stuck in that back and forth between languages.
Right.
So the idea is to use translation strategically.
One tip is to paraphrase during translation. Don't just substitute words.
Force yourself to understand the meaning and express it in your own words.
The guide also suggests using native language subtitles for initial comprehension.
But gradually wean yourself off them. The goal is to understand English directly.
Another tip is to translate from your native language into English. Active practice.
And pay attention to grammar and sentence structure during the translation process.
You start to see the differences and similarities between languages.
It's like a linguistic comparison.
And make it a daily practice. Use translation software like Google Translate as a starting point.
But always revise. Don't blindly accept the machine's output.
Use your own knowledge and judgment.
It's a collaboration between human and machine.
Finally, the guide strongly recommends English Path's structured English courses.
This is presented as a highly effective approach.
And for good reason. Structured courses offer a comprehensive framework.
Everything is covered in a logical order. Grammar, vocabulary, reading, writing, listening, speaking.
And the benefits are clear. Personalized learning, expert feedback, a well-rounded curriculum, flexible schedules.
The variety of courses offered by English Path is amazing. General English, young learners, English for older adults.
Higher education programs, professional English courses, exam preparation, corporate training.
There's something for everyone, no matter your level or goals.
And the guide mentions that English Path offers a free general English test.
Great for figuring out your current level and finding the right course.
And it addresses some common questions, which is always helpful.
Like what levels are catered to?
All levels, beginner to advanced. Non-native speakers are welcome, of course.
Flexible schedules are offered.
And the course duration varies depending on the program and your pace.
It's best to talk to the teachers to figure out a realistic timeline.
And it's good to know their teaching methodology combines tech with live lessons and personalized feedback.
It's a well-rounded approach.
So we've really delved into these 13 strategies for learning English. A lot to think about.
Absolutely. The key takeaway is to use a multifaceted approach.
Immerse yourself, practice all 4 skills, use different tools.
Traditional and modern methods. Find what works for you.
And remember, consistency is key. Stay dedicated and find methods you enjoy.
Because language learning is a journey. It takes time and effort.
But the rewards are worth it. So I guess the question for you, our listener, is this. What strategy will you try first?
And what unexpected benefits might you gain beyond just fluency?
That's something to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.